Do do do, theme song. Do do do, I'm broke, so this is my theme song. Do do do, just imagine this is an awesome theme song. Do do, theme song. Left of the box. Hello, welcome to Left of the Box. Bonjour, bienvenue. I'm Sandy. Welcome everyone to this Tuesday evening, afternoon. Yes, I believe it's Tuesday. Sorry. I don't know what to do with my hair sometimes. Oh, can you go like that? Stick it. Come on. Stay. No, it doesn't. Okay, it's going like this then. Okay, I don't know. It's sometimes my hair just does not want to cooperate. Let's try. Where'd it go? There we go. Let's try that. Maybe? I don't know. Welcome to this Tuesday evening afternoon. I hope everyone is doing well. So far in the SandBox, we have True Democratic North, Corvid Black, John, just John, I'm just calling you John, and Morbius. Welcome. As always, as my unofficial producers, please let me know that you can see and hear me so I don't have any super embarrassing situations like talking to myself for a good old hour before I realize that something's up. Yeah, so Sunday I was doing a live stream and my computer started acting all funky and I'm like, what's up? And then I checked to see that I was this close to running out of room on my 1 terabyte size computer, which meant that I had to shift over a lot of files onto my external hard drive because, I save all of these videos, these live streams. I'm recording them onto my hard drive as I'm doing them. That way, should the day come that YouTube decides to completely delete my channel, I still have them. Not that I would imagine I'd repost them anywhere, but they're my content. So I still have them. So I started getting a little bit worried that my computer would just completely and utterly crash because it had been a little bit of time since I had done my last backup, and I was getting really, really worried that if it crashed, I would lose my stuff because the TYT essay, yeah. No, it had been a while since I backed that up, and if I have to retrack and go back and try to rebuild any of that, I would fucking lose my mind. It is too complicated. It is too much. There's just so much there that if I had to go back and try to rebuild all of that, no, no. Once is enough. And I was working on it earlier today, got some good work done. I am this close to getting the initial draft done. I do kind of have a deadline of finishing it this week because next week I'm starting a job. Yes, a part-time job that I'm super, super happy to have gotten because I need some sort of steady income coming in because financial stress has really, really been dragging me down. So, it's not like I'll be making a ton of money, but it is something just regular enough to top me up so I can keep on functioning. And I'm not going to say what it is because I don't need to dox the company and all that sort of stuff and myself and whatnot. But what I can say is that it's something I don't feel morally compromised doing. So there's that. It's nice that I have that combination. And I'm nervous about starting, no doubt about it, but I'm also looking forward to it. To the job, to, having some regular pay, making a difference, all that sort of stuff. But what that means for my channel is Absolutely nothing. No, there was a reason why I wanted a part-time job, and that was so I could continue doing my art, writing, and YouTube. And the job won't interfere with this channel at all whatsoever. But it will interfere with my appearances on this space. I will not be able to continue on with my Wednesday slot. So tomorrow will be my last day on my Wednesday slot. And since that's the case, it will be me and not Minuet showing up so that I can chit chat with people. And I'm currently working with Nicholas right now to see about getting me on another time, one that I can hopefully commit to. But it's difficult because I don't know what my schedule is going to be like going on in the future and stuff. And, you know, I want something that will be consistent because it's easier for Nicholas in this space and it's easier for me to just have something consistent. So we will be working on that. But I'm not going to be gone from this space, that's for sure. I do very much want to be a part of it still. So that's that. And then once I'm done, the initial draft of my TYT essay, I get to work on the new edition of my book. And that will be a great timing because it will help me de-stress from my new job, because even though it's something I know I can do, it is something I can do. I'm not worried about my ability to do the job, but I'm still stressed. You know, I'm still nervous because it is new. It's been a long time since I've held like a normal job. Let me get this plugged in. So being able to just escape and work on my book after work and stuff like that will definitely help me kind of adjust to the new stuff. Anyway, yeah, I don't know how many people are going to be hopping in right now because this is it's not my regular streaming time, so there's always that. And yeah, been doing lots of work. But if someone pays me $40, you can get a sneak peek of my TYT essay, and I'll give you choices only to the person who donates $40. I'll give you some choices for a sneak peek of the TYT essay that I've been working on. So there's that. There's some incentive. It's a grind, you know, it's a grind sometimes. Gotta promote my stuff. But my channel has gotten a nice little bump since I made my phone call into the majority report last Friday. Got over 100 new subscribers, so that's always really, really helpful. So I just need like 10, I guess, no, I'm at, okay, yeah, about 18 more phone calls into the majority report, and I'd break over 10K on my YouTube channel. If that policy stays forward of like getting 100 new subscribers every time I call in. I'd like to see a bigger bump than that sometime. I'm just saying, it'd be nice. It'd be nice. Anyway, I haven't seen anyone comment in the SandBox in a... See, now I'm just getting paranoid. And it's not just a roundabout way of getting people to engage in the SandBox, but I start getting nervous when I see no one typing in the SandBox for a little bit. Like, did I disconnect or something of that sort? Because that has happened too. So, you know, just every once in a while, if you're there, just thumbs up, let me know you're still there, that everything is working fine in the SandBox and that you're still seeing and hearing me. Because, yeah, I've been doing this long enough to be paranoid, to have good reason to be paranoid that technology doesn't always work. Anyway, so what are we going to be talking about today? Because I did, like I said, end the stream rather quickly last Sunday. I didn't do much of a chit chat after the stream because I cut it off halfway through. So I have some more updates on the trade war. Ooh. This is me rolling my eyes about that. The trade war. Then I have some provincial news and then a couple kind of one-off stories that I wanted to cover. But the provincial docket and the other docket that I had, they weren't terribly long to begin with. So hopefully I can kind of get this all wrapped up in about an hour and a half, 2 hours, so that I can still unwind because I've been sitting here all day, working on the TYT essay and whatnot. But yeah, so if somebody could give me a thumbs up in the SandBox, I will get back to it. The war of words have escalated and then de-escalated. There we go. That's a good way to let me know that you're still sticking around. Let's do this. Here we go. One of these days I'll get faster at this. There we go. Thank you so much, True Democratic North, for North, not North, North, for the $2 super chat. Hope things will be better. Why, thank you. Super appreciated. And I hope things will be better for, well, everyone. I think collectively as a society, we've been through some shit over the last little while. It'd be nice to have some good stuff. Like, I know for Americans, there was some good stuff going on 1 month in the summer, you know, right before the whole Plattner implosion, where they got some good candidates that won their seats. A sport thing, I think, happened. So people were kind of like happy for a change. But it'd be nice to just see some indication we're moving in the right direction. You know, that'd be nice for everyone, not just me, everyone. Because you know what? I will feel better if everyone else is feeling better. It's a thing. And also, don't forget, now available to buy from me, if you're all interested, are maple leaves, pride leaves that I can put your name on. You see, I only did this one in gold so people would have an idea as to what the gold would look like. I don't actually think the gold necessarily looks all that great. And that's why I purposely put it over the purple too. Come on, focus, focus. Just so people could get an idea as to what that looks like. But, you know, I have lots and lots of different pride maple leaves available. All of these. And lots of different flags. There we go. So those are available. And I'm not selling these, but, you know, maybe I'll give them away sometimes. It's the Palestinian one that I did up with the Free Palestine on the back. So if you've bought this book, this one right here, already, before the new edition has come out, then when the new edition comes out, for the cost of shipping, I'll send you a new edition plus one of those leaves as a thank you. And I feel bad because now I have a new book and there's already been people who were supporting me by buying it, which I super appreciate. And then I feel bad because then I go and change some things in it. But like I said, for people who have already read it, no plot points are changed. All the plot points are the exact same. It's just a lot of the little details will be changed. So at a very bare minimum, people can email me and I'll let them know what all the changes are. Anyway, why don't we just scooch right into it? It says I only have 5 viewers right now. Well, it's quality that I care about, and you guys rock. And also, YouTube algorithms suck. So there's probably a lot of people that were like, huh, didn't Sandy mention that she was going to be doing a live stream Tuesday, but they're getting no notifications? Such is the life with YouTube. Anyway, why don't we get into it? So here we have somebody just commenting on Financial Times articles saying Mark Carney says Canada is now at war with U.S. over trade. And David here is just kind of pointing out, I think maybe we shouldn't buy military hardware from any country we're at war with in the sense of the word. In any sense of the word. Yes, because as I pointed out on Sunday when I was going over Mark Carney's newest speech, he hid something in there where he was like, we're spending $500 billion on defense. Translation, we're spending hundreds of billions of dollars on the military. And the majority of those military contracts are with the United States. If Mark Carney meant any word of that speech, he would end those contracts. But he didn't mean that. And I still stick by my criticism of the speech and what it means, and that Mark Carney is a big old phony when it comes to it. How he was contradicting himself right in that very speech because of things like that. Also, I don't know why everyone's hyping this one up. This exact same thing has happened before. Like this is it's a carousel. It really is, because the phrase trade war has been used before with this whole situation. 50% tariff has been used before. Counter tariffs, dollar for dollar, have been used before. Like, this is not a new thing. It's just a repeated thing. So I really don't even know why this time it's getting so much more attention, because in a week or two, this is going to be resolved. Like, I don't think this is going to last as long as people think it's going to last, because none of them have. It's on again, off again, on again, off again, like a really bad relationship breaking up or trying to. So I have a hard time just, yeah, like whatever. We've been down this road a bunch of times already with the tariffs. It's part of the reason why I don't generally cover the tariffs on my channel. But this time the tariffs came with a speech from Mark Carney. Yeah. No, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. But here we have from Global News, Trump says Canada wants benefit of U.S. state without being one as trade war escalates. And I think I was going to read from here because, yeah. So U.S. President Donald Trump appears to revive his 51st state rhetoric early Sunday as he made his first comments on the collapse of the trade talks between Canada and the United States. Not the first time there's been a collapse of trade talks. It's all the same. It's all the same. Canada wants the benefit of being a state without being one, Trump wrote in a post on social media platform Truth Social. They have charge over grape farmers for many years, massive amounts of tariffs, no more. Hours later, Prime Minister Carney called back his negotiators from Washington, D.C. and said Canada would match Trump's tariffs 50%, dollar for dollar. We cannot accept what they've offered, and we will not give them what they ask. In a readout from the Prime Minister's office, Carney said the retaliatory tariffs would take effect on September 8th, the Tuesday after Labor Day. There's a reason why there's a deadline a couple weeks out. So it has time to maybe not happen. The details of what was offered or asked for in the 11th hour by either side has been relatively limited, but on Saturday, Carney outlined 3 issues he said torpedoed the negotiations. The Prime Minister said while there have been progress on an approach to auto tariffs, medium and heavy vehicles like trucks were not included. Carney said the U.S. was only willing to agree to a trade deal on cars and would not extend to larger vehicles, which would impact plants like Ford Motor and in Oakville. A source with direct knowledge of the talks told Global News the U.S. could cut steel and aluminum tariffs from 50 to 25% and auto duties from 25 to 15%, with 2 sources saying softwood lumber was also being discussed. You see, I know I've covered this before because I always fuck up saying aluminum. 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 Monominum. Carney's decision to walk away from the table also centered around the U.S. wanting to include terms that would put limits on trade deals Canada could seek with other countries. This definitely sounds like just a messy breakup between a couple, you know? That's what it sounds like. Let's do this. I'm getting distracted in a good way. Oops. No. There we go. There we go. I pressed the wrong button and it goes all weird on me. There we go. One of these days, it will get much better for you guys. I'll have like a really fancy smanchy setup. There we go. Thank you so much, Real John Litham, for the $4.99 super chat with the Hype Hippo. Super appreciate it. And it's really adorable. Always appreciate your support. Let's see. So, getting back to the article here. So, the Prime Minister's office has touted Carney's record on trade, saying the leadership group has made 20 deals since the Liberal Party formed a government in spring of 2025. You got to note that 15 of those deals were with the United States, going back and forth. We believe in free trade. We're a partner of choice in many respects for countries around the world, and the Americans wanted to restrict that. They had language that wanted to restrict. Unacceptable, Carney said Saturday. You know, he's one to talk about the kind of language that goes into these details, or these the things, these contracts and whatnot, because it wasn't too long ago that there was language in a policy that the federal government was going to put through that eliminates the right to clean water for Indigenous peoples. It's just, it removed that wording that clean drinking water is a right. And it switched it from more like, yeah, we'll look into it. Yeah, he wasn't so much of a stickler back then for, you know, the language around these sorts of things. So French language rules were a third factor to derail talks, with Carney saying in French there were threats from the U.S. in the deal over French language and Quebec culture, though he did not elaborate much further. The Prime Minister chaired a meeting of Canada's premiers on Saturday with a readout from the PMO saying he outlined next steps to protect Canada's interests, including September 8th date for retaliatory tariffs. Again, there's a reason why there's a date put out in the future. Give everyone time to cool down. He also spoke about additional measures to support Canadian workers and businesses, and yeah, I kind of went over that last time. And most of Canadians' premiers appeared to back Carney, you know, except for Danielle Smith, of course. And there are some YouTube videos on this that are very interesting. YouTube is acting really weird for me right now, so you'll have to forgive me as this is going to be a bit choppy. Let's see. Hello, Grand Theft Autobot. Welcome to the SandBox. As we get into some of these YouTube videos. There we go. So this is from CTV News. I don't need to go over the first part of the video because it's all been rehashed, but I gotta admit, I found this kind of funny.
That we do ship to the United States, saying maybe it's time to consider cutting off some of those crucial supplies. Now, I want to read you a pretty jaw-dropping social or a loser. As for what happens now, Ford saying Canada can wait this out for 2 years until Trump is gone. But we can't give in to the United States. Otherwise, it could be the end of key sectors like the steel sector, the car sector, other Canadian industries. Ford also suggesting that Canada look at oil, gas, potash that we do ship to the United States, saying maybe it's time to consider cutting off some of those crucial supplies. Now, I want to read you a pretty jaw-dropping social media message sent out by President Trump. Astonishing to see in an ugly, very public way. Here we go as I get through this. Lots of bluster from Doug Ford, President Trump.
It's very interesting how this anchor reads this, because I'm so used to anyone who reads Donald Trump's messages to do some sort of voice, and he doesn't. It's really weird like that. Anyway, let's back up 5 seconds. There we go.
Jaw-dropping social media message sent out by President Trump. Astonishing to see in an ugly, very public way. Here we go as I get through this. Lots of bluster from Doug Ford, President Trump writes, who is the Premier of the Canadian province of Ontario, but better known as the less charismatic, intelligent, and overall unimpressive brother of the late, great Rob Ford. America has been carrying Canada for decades.
Come on, that was a deep cut. That was a deep cut. Wow, talk about getting personal. And who told Donald Trump about Rob Ford? It's like, there's no way he knew about Rob Ford. None. Unless they were partying together sometimes, like, it's just, So somebody had to tell him about that, but it's like, ouch. To bring in the person's dead brother? Wow. Wow.
But no longer. The USA will always be far bigger, richer, stronger than Canada. Without the United States, Canada couldn't survive. It's where they get all their money. And
I think we'd actually be in a much better survival situation right now without the United States as our neighbor. I'm just saying. They're our biggest threat to our survival right now is the United States. And, on a political scale, of course, climate change is the #1 threat to everyone. But, when it comes to just politics, it's the United States. No other country is threatening us. I'm not worried about Australia taking us over. I'm not worried about even China taking us over, or Russia, or any other country. Brazil isn't about to come up here. It's way too cold for them. No, the only country that is a threat to Canada is the United States.
Because of their current bad leadership, primarily Governor Carney and his flunky Ford, they will not be allowed to keep taking advantage of the U.S., their key to survival. Remember, much of the electricity, oil, and gas that Canada gets is transported through the USA. Someone should get these clowns to fall in line or face consequences. Will be far worse for Canada. He goes on to say Canada's unemployment rate is now at
So Grand Theft Autobot is asking, was Rob Ford in the Epstein files? No, I have not heard anything about it, and that would actually strike me as being really, really odd, because Rob Ford, was into the drugs and alcohol and things of that sort. I don't think he'd be that. There's nothing about him that would indicate that he'd be into what the Epstein was all about. He was, not a great person in many, many ways, but I don't get the feeling about that one.
10%, rapidly rising. Their businesses are fleeing for the U.S. It's all because of their failed policies and inept leadership. And the days of ripping off our farmers and other businesses are over. Now, that one message, long as it is, sort of encapsulates, symbolizes the Trump presidency in many ways and his aggressive strategy against Canada, going after our leaders personally and in some ways our sovereignty. Doug Ford was asked about that. And if we can get that clip ready, because I'd love to be able to play it, of what Doug Ford had to say when he was asked by reporters, well, what do you make of Donald Trump's insults against you personally? Listen to this.
No, I don't respond to a dictator like President Trump, a bully like President Trump. As I said before, he's the type of guy in school that would take your lunch money one day, take your toque off your head the next day, and then steal your running shoes. But I'm not going to take any advice off a guy that's the king of bankruptcies. And he's actually tariffing his own people, taxing his own people. And I'm going to make sure I communicate through the U.S. media. I'm going to be reaching out to every single governor, every single senator, and every single congressperson. And when it comes to the midterms, I have a message to the Americans. Don't vote in a person that's going to kill your jobs.
Yeah. So I think I played that one Sunday, but there's been some follow-ups to this that we'll get to in a moment. And yes, Grand Theft Autobot, the United States would be in much more danger than us. We have more power when it comes to power. They get a lot of their power supply from us. I'm not a fan personally of even threatening to turn off the power to anyone in the States. I know Doug Ford has mentioned that before, but when you do something like that, the people who get hurt the most are the most vulnerable, like people who are living with poverty, low infrastructure, people who all their food would spoil in their fridge and they can't replace it, like, people who suddenly can't get to their jobs and are in dire need for it. So I would never be a fan, not to mention people who have medical devices that need them. So I'm not even a fan of even threatening that, but Doug Ford is. And Donald Trump doesn't seem to understand that the power tends to flow down that way. Yeah. So here's another YouTube clip. I'm sorry if some of these will be repeated, some of the statements that Doug Ford made. It was hard for me to... I was trying to get them all in today because these were new ones, and I was running out of time because I was too focused on the TYT essay, and then suddenly I looked at the time, it's like, oh shit, I need to get all these together. So, I think this is a combination of a few of the things, so I might skip past it if we just heard it. But here we go. More of Doug Ford showing his strength, his willingness to bully a bully.
Hi, Premier. Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
Hi, Siobhan.
I just wanted to sort of figure out your thinking about how you thread this needle with the president taking very specific aim at you in deeply personal ways.
Good.
While also, what?
Yeah, Grand Theft Autobot. I wasn't suggesting you were suggesting that. It's just that you were pointing out that the power tends to go north to south. Sorry, if that came across as me saying. Anyway, I wasn't saying that you were suggesting that.
Why is that good?
Well, good. He can, something, I've been in this game a lot longer than he has. I got skin on me like an alligator. And you think an insult from him hurts me?
Doug Ford submits it. He's a reptile person.
Well, bring it on, buddy. I'm ready. Bring it on. You know something? I've dealt with guys like you my whole life. And guess what? You all become losers because you're a loser.
Are you worried?
So Donald Trump compared Ford to his dead brother, and so Doug Ford calls Donald Trump a loser. Oh, this is this is exactly how I would expect those two to be fighting, like just schoolyard bullies. That is all this is they are just two schoolyard bullies going after each other. But they're doing it in such a way where it's like they're standing on either side of the field and there's an actual fence in the middle. So there's no threat of them ever connecting and actually having to like duke it out or something. So it's all bluster from, the counterpoints. It's childish. It's so childish. How are these our leaders?
Worried when you hit back that way that you are making Ontarians and Canadians vulnerable because he is such an unpredictable figure?
We have two choices, Siobhan. We either roll back and let him take over our country, watch the steel sector bleed out, watch the auto sector bleed out, the auto part manufacturers bleed out, all the manufacturers bleed out. That's his game. But we're going to play his game. We're not playing his game. Folks, we're an economic powerhouse. Make no mistake about it. He says he doesn't need Canada. I'd love to see, he wants to take our auto sector. I'd love to see him run cars without any oil. I'd love to see, him try to grow vegetables and fruit and everything without the potash.
Well, due to climate change, they're going to be growing those things without water. Or too much water. Yeah. Existential fear.
I'd like to see when we have our critical minerals. Matter of fact, high-grade nickel, that 65% comes from Ontario for their military, for their manufacturing. But that's not my message to the American people. My message to the American people, let's create Fortress North America. Let's make the pie larger. Let's create more opportunities and more jobs. We buy more autos, 400% more autos than anyone in the entire country, in the world. So now the choice is multiple auto plants close down. If that's 8 times, it would actually shut down your auto plants. It's not going to help them. And I've heard from Republican and Democrats, this is not good.
And you mentioned that everything remains on the table if things were to get worse. What would worse look like? Do you have a line in mind already?
Well, if it gets really, really bad, I say everything's on the table. I cannot speak for other premiers.
So right now, just keep that thought in your head. Doug Ford is saying everything is on the table for this. Yep. Just keep that in mind as we go along. And remind me that I said for us to keep this in mind as we go along.
But a couple premiers have a lot of power to protect Canada. Massive power. And I can't speak for them, but we need everyone to be on Team Canada and throw everything in the kitchen sink at them, no matter if it's electricity, if it's fuel, again, if it's potash or uranium. We need to have everything on the table, but we need a buy-in from coast to coast to coast. And we'll work together with the other premiers. I know.
Yeah. Okay, on to the Twitter clip here. Doug Ford here is responding to the post that Trump made about him. Hopefully I didn't just play it, but we'll find out.
But we were just looking at
I tend to watch these clips really fast.
a very fresh post here from President Trump on Truth Social, taking aim at you personally, taking shots at you, suggesting you should fall in line, that you're a flunky of the Prime Minister. Do you want to respond to these shots? Well,
he called you names. Are you going to call him names back? Huh? This is like so gossipy and stuff too. Like I can't get over this. This is worse than like leftist infighting when it's like one YouTube channel calls out another YouTube channel and then that channel calls, or they react to their own reactions, like, oh, I'm reacting to them saying this and I'm going to say this, and then they react to that and they react to that, and on and on and on. This is online drama. This part of it doesn't mean anything. This name calling, it's online drama. It's for the show. It's for the clicks. Donald Trump is a showman. Doug Ford is also very good at performing. And this performance that he's doing right now will probably win a lot of people over. Because again, come the next election, they're not going to remember the people who are currently dying on the streets because of Doug Ford's policies. The people who are dying because they can't get access to the health care that they need. The crumbling infrastructure that we have here. The people who are being kicked out of their homes. They're not going to remember that. They'll remember Doug Ford calling Donald Trump a loser. That they'll remember. But all these horrendous policies, like David Dole did a video, I think today, about this, or yesterday, about this whole situation. And he's like worried that the way Doug Ford reacts to this will make him very likable to a lot of people because, when we're under attack, you want somebody to be strong. You want that strong man to be supporting you. And to all the people who get suckered into it, a big old fuck you. This man right here is committing mass social murder. He's not to be liked. And this bullying, this back and forth and name calling that they're doing right now, it's just for show. They're empty words, empty threats. Doug Ford isn't responsible for trade with the United States. That's a federal issue. He negotiates maybe things with other states, but when it comes to international trade, that's a federal issue. So this is just, it's for show. And Doug Ford is using this moment to make him look like the big tough guy. And he knows that works with a lot of people who are not plugged into politics, who don't pay attention to policy. But there are people in my community, people with disabilities, people who live with poverty, who are suffering and dying under his watch. So this doesn't make him likable. Being a bully doesn't make someone likable to me.
What would you say to the president?
No, I don't respond to a dictator like President Trump, a bully like President Trump. As I said before, he's the type of guy in school that would take your
Okay, we did see this.
reaching out to every single governor, every single last time I checked, jobs went down in the U.S. and Ontario created a tariff on our lumber, which 33% of all homes that are built in the we'll see how this goes, but he wants to put pain on Canadians. We'll leverage every bit of pain we possibly can on Americans. And you know what I feel bad for? I've always said I love the American people. I still stand by that statement because there's a lot of people in the U.S. that are calling me saying, way to go, keep going.
He always does this. I'd like to see proof of that thing. It's like, oh, all these people are calling me all the time. If only there was a way to verify it, you know, like getting his phone records. For his cell phone, his private cell phone that he does all this government business on. I'd like to see those calls that he's supposedly getting.
You know, your own people, President Trump, don't even like you. And they're going to speak loud and clear when it comes to the midterms. And if I was allowed to, I'd be down there door knocking.
Technically, I don't think he isn't allowed to. Like, I know a regular citizen in Canada can, in fact, go travel down to the state to go door knocking in political campaigns. The thing we're not allowed to do is donate money. But we can actually phone bank, like volunteer for campaigns in the States. But there might be something about him being a politician, so he's not allowed to do it, but regular civilians, I know. Okay, we got another YouTube video, so I have to switch screens like so. I think we just watched this. Yeah.
Premier Sean Jeffords, CBC News. I know you haven't had an opportunity to see this, but we were just looking at a very fresh post here from President.
And he's actually terrifying how this goes, but he wants to put pain on U.S. that are calling me saying, wait a
Premier, you mentioned a number of times today that tariffs are a tax on Americans. If that principle stands, and I'm sure it does here in Canada as well, you know, how do you impose retaliatory tariffs without impacting Canadians, spending here?
That's good point. It is going to hurt. That's the cost of war.
Yeah, it's going to hurt all of you people. That's just the cost. It's just the cost of doing business. It's going to hurt you all. It's not going to hurt me. And we're going to make sure it doesn't hurt the corporations. But, you know, your pain, our gain. That's how it works.
We have two choices, folks. We either roll over and he dismantles Canada and he says 51st state. We'll never be the 51st state. We'll do whatever it takes to protect our sovereignty. We're proud Canadians. And I'll tell you one thing, you know, we'll wait it out for 2 years. We'll wait it out for 2 years, even if he lasts 2 years, but we'll wait it out. And hopefully they'll come to their senses when they see the pain he's putting on the American people. And we have to focus on the red states.
I tell you, those American people have a really high pain tolerance. I think actually it was at the beginning of this that I wanted to see.
Wondering, you sound a little more subdued than you did this morning on the radio when you said Donald Trump could kiss your ass. Did the Prime Minister tell you to ask you to tone it down a bit?
No, he didn't. I'm not going to comment, but he wasn't against that. And I have a lot of real estate on my ass, so he has a lot of room to kiss my ass. So,
Well done.
He's a very good performer. He does this sort of shit. And it sells. A lot of people like how he can do this self-deprecating humor type thing.
I just do. I'm a big dude. What can I say?
Premier Sean Jeffords, CBC News.
Yeah. That line alone, again, people will remember this.
You sound a little more subdued than you did this morning on the radio when you said Donald Trump could kiss your ass. Did the Prime Minister tell you to ask you to tone it down a bit?
No, he didn't. I'm not going to comment, but he wasn't against that. And I have a lot of real estate on my ass, so he has a lot of room to kiss my ass. So
Well done.
I just do. I'm a big dude. What can I say?
Premier Sean.
Yeah. Some more on this, but first, my alarm went off for a reason. I need to do this, mute that for a second. So I click on this. See, it's a weeknight, so I have to click on TYT so that it's in my watch history in case something comes up that I need to go back and watch it, and I really hate this. I really cannot wait until the TYT essay is done, and then I don't have to pay attention to this. Okay, that's enough of that. I can get back to this. So, this is from Bloomberg. Exclusive. Canada sees little chance of resuming talks with U.S. before midterms and is preparing to ride out Donald Trump's term. Yeah, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't think, like, there's, again, a reason why the deadline is September 8th is because this will probably be sorted out before then. It's some breathing room to get this figured out. This is not the first time this has happened. We've had 50% tariffs implemented on us before, and then like the night, 2 hours before midnight when they were supposed to be implemented, they were reversed or made not so severe. This has gone on back and forth so many times. I don't know why people are suddenly just paying attention. Names have been called before. Like, I think, yeah, the names have been escalating. I'll give them that. But, the references to us as, the 51st state, that's all old news. Governor Carney, that's been continuing on. But, I don't think Mark Carney's speech made a lick of difference. It's all just the same noise. Speaking of the same noise, I clicked on that one. Ugh. I clicked. There we no, sure. So Donald Trump, I don't want to call them truthed. He spit this up. The United States is giving serious consideration to changing the name of Lake Ontario to Lake America, in that we don't expect doing much business with Ontario any longer. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. And so Rich and Southern from City News is just, pointing out this quote. But then he did a little bit of research, and I already knew this, but your historical fact of the day. The province was named after the lake, not the other way around. The name Ontario comes from an indigenous name associated with the lake, recorded by European explorers in the 17th century. Yes, Ontario actually means sparkling water. And so, we're not going to be changing the name. This isn't the Gulf of Mexico. You can't just force your will. I don't even, like, the Gulf of Mexico, I don't even think has officially been changed. It's just him wanting it and whining about it, so some people have updated maps. But it's the Gulf of Mexico. It's like Ontario. Like, you don't see Doug Ford saying, okay, so Lake Michigan, that's going to be Lake Canada now. Or how about we just trade lakes? I don't know. Like, it's all, again, it's just so pathetic. So pathetic. But then we have Colin DeMello throwing a little bit of shade. I love Colin DeMello's shade because it is so subtle. Colin DeMello from Global News. His shade is so fucking subtle but I love it. I love it. So here he has Ontario Premier Doug Ford speaking to CNN is asked whether it would be wise to take the temperature down. Ford, I think so. Things got heated, personal between the president and myself. CNN introduced the premier by playing a highlight reel of his kiss my ass comments. So, Ford tells CNN he would like to make a deal. Shade added by Colin, without mentioning that Ontario isn't directly involved in the negotiations. Love that. Colin DeMillo. You are what more reporters should be. Just throwing that in there, letting people know. Because again, this is international trade, which is a federal issue, not provincial. But Doug Ford is going on all these TV shows saying, ah, yeah, trade this, trade that, making it about him, when it's not about him. And so there was that thing. What was that thing that I said to just put a pin in and remember? There was something, oh fuck, what was it? Where I'm like, remember this and remember to remind me of this. Something about, oh yeah, putting everything on the table and Doug Ford is going to be really hard and all that sort of stuff. And turns out Doug Ford is on the table. Yeah, begging. So he's immediately saying, yeah, it was my bad. We need to turn the temperature down. We need to start negotiating and all that sort of bullshit. Yeah, no, he's, like I said, this whole row that we're going through right now, couple weeks, it's going to be different. It's not going to last through the midterms. It's going to be just a couple weeks. And all people will remember from this is the strong words, the name calling from Doug Ford, and that impressive speech. You know, the words in it were nice from Mark Carney. They're not going to remember everything else. No. So a little bit from the CNN video. Come on, play. I said play.
Right now, Premier, thank you very much for joining us. It sounds like your frustration with President Trump and his tariffs policy against Canada is escalating.
There we go.
Would it be wiser to take the temperature down a bit right now between these two longtime great allies?
I think so. Wolf, things got a little heated. It got a little personal yesterday between the president and myself. But I want to make a deal, a good deal.
Yeah, so the bully's now saying, sorry I bullied the bully. You know, maybe I shouldn't have done that. We should make a deal, all that sort of stuff. But as Colin DeMello again points out, Doug Ford isn't involved with any of these deals. It's not his business. Colin DeMello, I wish you were a podcaster. So play. Play, YouTube.
For the American people, good deal for the Canadians. And we're the two greatest countries in the world. We're each other's #1 customer. And it's time to get back to the table and let's negotiate a fair deal because it's hurting the U.S., it's hurting Canada. And we just want to make sure that we have a fair deal.
Good point. But as you know, President Trump this morning is also taking new shots against Canada on his social media platform. Truth Socially posted, and I'm quoting him now, the United States is giving serious consideration to changing the name of Lake Ontario to Lake America, in that we won't be doing much more business with the Ontario province that you represent.
Well, I think it's a lot of rhetoric because we're the #1 customer to 17 states, #2 to 12 others, Ontario alone.
There we go. Pause. We don't need to see any more of that. Okay, main shot. Let's start closing these tabs. So that's the updates on that. I'd say just give it a couple weeks and a lot of this will be sorted out, in my opinion. Let's see. So, we'll be moving on to the other stuff that I had planned for the Sunday show that I didn't get around to. But of course, before we get to that, we'll go and check the SandBox. So let's see. Ooh, I'm almost up to double-digit viewers. Yay! Grand Theft Autobot, this is the only good thing about Ford, and I'm so afraid that it will affect his image for uninformed voters. Yeah, that's what it is. That's what, David Dole was saying on the Rational National. But I don't like any of it. Mm-mm. None of that makes him likable to me. Grand Theft Autobot, I never heard of anyone getting their toques or running shoes stolen from them. Where did Ford go to school? Yeah. First it's steal your lunch, then your running shoes, then your toque. For some reason, I just don't picture people wearing running shoes with toques, because toque is usually like a winter thing, so you'd be wearing boots. See, I'm seeing that very Canadian-esque, like. Boot? No. How are we supposed to be pronouncing boot? About? A boot? Boot? I don't know. John saying, is it me or does Doug Ford give off bizarro Tim Waltz energy? Maybe a little bit. Grand Theft Autobot should have gone full Mackenzie and called him a hoser. LOL. Yeah. You get a few more Canadian cookie points by doing that. True Democratic North, they don't care about the downfall of civilization. Yeah. Also saying, Grand Theft Autobot, hey Ford, you're not doing anything to help us with our own housing crisis. Yeah. Something that he is in charge of. He's not part of the negotiations for the trade and the tariffs, but the housing, maybe he should focus on the things that he actually has control over. That's like a therapy thing that they tell you to do, focus on the things that you can actually change instead of, things you have no control over. Be nice. Hello, Big Jerry. Welcome to the SandBox. Apparently, Dolly Parton has passed on. So, yes, R.I.P. Grand Theft Autobot. Grand Theft also saying, I don't like calling his ramblings truths either. He wouldn't know truth if it emerged underneath that rat's nest that he calls hair and bit him on his pumpkin-hued ass. But Grand Theft Autobot is pointing out that I wore running shoes during the winter with my toque unless the snow was too bad. Well, I guess that's the thing. I'm picturing snow with toques. Oh, I should have eaten food or something before this. I'm actually kind of hungry. Luckily, I have some very, very yummy leftovers. So dinner will be easy to make for me after this. Okay, why don't we just scooch along? So next up, like I said, is the stuff that I kind of had in the docket ready to go for last Sunday before I had to cut the stream short because I looked at what was causing my computer to act up and it turned out I had almost no room left on it. And I was recording the video, which meant that it was taking up a lot more room, and I was worried it was going to crash, especially since I hadn't done a backup of my TYT essays in a little while. That is not something I can afford to redo and maintain any sense of sanity. My God, this TYT project. It is such a nightmare. It is such a mess. There is so much that I put in it. You're going to be looking, like when you finally get around to watching it, when I post it, you're going to be like, yeah, no, only a crazy person could have done this. Only a crazy person could have done this TYT essay nonsense in the detail and all of that. Like there's just 2 years of my life, chances are, will have gone by the time I get this essay out. And it's just like, yeah, this is an anchor and I want it gone. And it's very close to at least getting the initial draft done. Initial draft is the hardest part, getting a lot of the montages and clips and everything ready. And so, it's much easier to just go through everything and edit the draft as opposed to writing out all the new stuff, connecting the dots, making sure I have the video clips and all that sort of stuff. It's so much smoother just editing the draft. Anyway, let's move along. So, Alberta, that separation referendum is going to be happening at some point, whatever. But this was just funny. Thomas here is just pointing out, this is more than irony. It's absurd. For a vote on separating from Canada, Alberta needs help from other Canadian provinces to conduct that vote. And this is from the Globe and Mail. Elections, Alberta seeks help from other provinces to run a referendum. Hey, you guys, can you help us, run this referendum that is totally unnecessary so that we can no longer have to talk to you? Huh? Can you help us do that? Do you mind? Do you mind sending, spending resources and shipping people over here to help us with our own mess that we made? This totally unnecessary mess. Can you please come on guys, why aren't you playing with me? This is just the leaders of wow, the leaders that we have to deal with in both the United States and Canada. This is absurd. This idea that they have to ask other provinces to help them with a referendum vote on separating from them. Yeah. Anyway, that was really all there was about that. I just wanted to see. So, on to Ontario, because don't let all of this tiffs, trade war thing going on distract from the fact that Doug Ford is still doing shit here that is really bad. So here he has, as municipal leaders, and this is a Doug Ford tweet, as municipal leaders from across Ontario gather in Ottawa this week, we're providing record supports to help them deliver better services, lower costs for families and businesses, and attract good-paying jobs and investments. Since 2019, we've increased funding to municipalities by a historic 60%, including $600 million through the Ontario Municipal Partnership Fund this year alone. And as TDOT resident is pointing out, you are forcing unelected regional chairs to run these municipalities, and you meddle constantly in Toronto's business. No one believes that you support cities. He does not. And Catherine Fife, she's an NDP MPP, is pointing out, Waterloo Region doesn't want appointed chair with strong mayor powers to override locally elected councillors. Democracy is so annoying for Doug Ford and company. Yeah. And I've been talking about this before, how he's just forcing these people in, like this is back. He started doing this a while ago. He doesn't like municipalities. He doesn't like that he doesn't have full control over them and what they can do. That they actually have the power to prevent him from doing some things, which is why he had to, pass Bill C5 or Bill 5 so that he could override some of those laws because they were getting in the way of what he wanted to do. He does not support cities. He is costing cities millions of dollars. Like in Toronto alone with the bike lane issue. And after Toronto has spent millions upon millions to get the bike lanes in there, he now wants them to spend millions and millions to have them removed. He does non-stop meddling with municipalities. He is a dictator when it comes to it by appointing people into formally elected positions. Same thing with the school boards that he's been doing. So that he has more power over the cities and our education. This is what he's doing while everyone's distracted by the image of Donald Trump kissing his ass. And what happens should some of these municipalities push back? Well, from Global News, punished for dissent, top municipal officials speak out about working with Ford government. So this is how much he loves our municipalities here. Senior officials in a number of Ontario municipalities are pulling back the curtain on their working relationship with the Ford government, accusing the province of employing a divide and conquer strategy, using municipalities as a political shield and forcing mayors to walk a fine line. Ahead of the annual Association of Ontario Municipalities conference in Ottawa, you know, the thing that Ford was talking about here. The chief administrative officers, CAOs, of several towns and cities offered their views on how lower-tier governments are treated by the province. The survey conducted by government relations firm Stanley Corp compiled anonymous reflections from a sample of 32 CAOs, allowing them to freely discuss the behind-the-scenes relationship with the provincial government. Top municipal civil servants described the government that's filled with ambition but falls short of implementation, rushes through consultation process, and is often thin-skinned and unforgiving. So much for that alligator skin Doug Ford was talking about. When faced with criticism, we have to tread very carefully in our response to anything that the province is doing, one CAO said. Our mayor is cognizant of that. Another city administration put it more bluntly: the province doesn't accept dissent, and you are punished for it. The report finding comes as the Ford government turns its attention to the artificial intelligence data centers and potential host cities for the mammoth projects. Yes. He's all about those data centers. Destroy the land, destroy the economy, destroy, electrical supply, destroy all of that for data centers that nobody wants. The facilities have already led to anxiety among municipalities worried about the potential spike in electricity and water usage with few employment or economic opportunities in the region. On Monday, Ford promised municipal leaders his government would only advance projects that offer infrastructure investment in community centers, parks, roads, and broadband infrastructure. So your water won't be drinkable, but we might fill in some potholes. Yeah, good to know, good to know. Folks, you're going to be part of the choice, Ford said about AI data center placements. We're in the driver's seats, all of us. Well, if that was the case, there would be no data centers. Nobody wants them. Nobody wants them in their town. The collaborative tone offered the premier on stage, however, appears to be misaligned with the experience of municipal officials tasked with implementing provincial decisions. Some CAOs interviewed for the report said the province doesn't understand the municipal sector, leading to far too many unintended consequences. I think the provincial government is an absolute disaster, one CAO said. It's knee-jerk reactions with no analysis, no policy, and no business case. Another CAO labeled the progressive conservatives as spaghetti government. You just throw a bunch of stuff at the wall and see what sticks. If it sticks, then you draft a regulation. If it doesn't stick, you don't. Notably, some officials said that while the government promises to consult with municipalities, the process is often rushed. The province says they are doing consultations, but they are doing it so quickly. Are they really absorbing or taking in what they're hearing? One CAO said. It is just to tick a box and isn't meaningful. That's usually what consultations are. Ultimately, some said decisions are made without local guidance. Changes appear to be made by a very small group of people without real consultation or analysis on what the impact will be, one CAO said. We see that when they must be rolled back. The frustration CAOs indicate is also shared by mayors and city councillors who have faced constituents upset about the provincially mandated changes. Several expressed frustration that the Ford government is turning municipalities into implementation arms of Queen Park, often allowing provincial policymakers to evade the wrath of constituents. They use municipalities and school boards as a shield for the blowback to be able to say, well, these are municipalities doing it, one CAO said. These interventions are really causing discomfort for the local decision makers because they're feeling the brunt of the citizens who are unhappy with it. Okay, it is all of their jobs to make sure that people know it's the province's fault. Because a lot of these people who are mad at the municipalities and the school boards for some of these decisions that are being made will vote conservative. They vote conservative because they have a really hard time connecting the two and understanding how one is influencing the other, how it's Doug Ford's policies that is making their lives unbearable, not the municipality, not the education board. It is Doug Ford who's doing this to them. Another CAO added, yet they don't really have a choice in the matter because it's provincially mandated. Others argue the province has employed divide and conquer tactic to keep municipalities focused on the agenda set by the government. For years now, municipalities have not focused on the provincial municipal fiscal relationship because we have been focused on restructuring our strong mayor powers, one CAO said. The report also found that dialogue with the province is strained and that formal and public disagreements with the Ford government can lead to retribution, leaving mayors looking for unofficial ways of exerting influence. It's a tough go to have honest conversation, one CAO said. You're more likely to win by sending your mayor to go talk to the premier in his basement than through an OBCM, Ontario Big City Mayors, or AMO. That approach, critics say, suggests a culture of fear around Ford government. Doug Ford might look like a friendly, hey folks kind of guy, but don't cross him. That's what these CAOs are saying, said interim Liberal leader John Fraser. Why should mayors have to go to the premier's basement to settle an issue? That's ridiculous. Chief administrator officers called the government to consult for longer periods of time to deliberate on the impact of policies the province is looking to implement and to slow down the pace of change to allow municipalities to catch up. I get nervous whenever Doug Ford steps up to a podium because I have 3 months' work ahead of me whenever he opens his mouth. One CAO said, there have been 8 years of constant change. Hello, hermeteorologist and BCAT. Welcome to the SandBox. So, more on how Doug Ford is fucking over the province, especially education. So here, Tina Yazdani says, we obtained a leaked script for a taxpayer-funded advertisement that takes aim at teacher unions as contract talks grind to a halt. So, how about this, Doug Ford? Instead of working on negotiations with tariffs that you have no control over, how about you get to the table with the negotiations you have control over before the teachers end up on strike again? The draft script portrays parents criticizing unions over sick days and potential strikes. The Ford government is defending the approach, arguing unions themselves have been running ads and campaigns for well over a year. Well, do you know what? They're not using taxpayer money for it. So she has a bit of a video on it. Let's listen.
We have obtained a leaked script of an advertisement the Ford government is preparing that takes aim at teachers' unions during these contentious contract talks. In the script, actors play parents who are criticizing teachers over sick days, doctor's notes, wages, and potential strikes.
Actors for now, AI for future. Because the thing with a lot of this political ad stuff is that they might have a hard time finding an actor willing to portray these things. So AI makes it easier to make propaganda. because they can make whoever they want to say whoever they want. And that's already happened, like in the manosphere type thing, where there's this beautiful blonde woman talking about how her only duty is to stay in the kitchen and have babies and all that sort of stuff. Then it turns out it's just AI, partly because there's no way in hell they could find someone to actually spew that nonsense. But yeah, that's the propaganda of the future. No soul.
I'll read you some of the lines. A character playing Mom 2 says, I read that Ontario teachers are already the highest paid in Canada. Dad 1 then responds, that's money well spent, but I hope that teacher unions don't walk out on students over salaries. Then the script turns to sick days. Dad 2 says, and they take an average of 14 sick days, no note needed. There are several alternatives to this line, including they don't even need a doctor's note. Mom 1 then responds, everyone gets sick, but teacher unions shouldn't oppose needing sick notes and a cap on sick days. An alternative here is, nobody's saying people shouldn't take a sick day. I just think there should be some limits. The script ends with parents saying,
you can't control how many days you're going to get sick. I'm just saying.
They want to keep their kids in school so they can keep learning. The document is dated July 10th, and it's not clear if it's currently in production or still in the casting process. Now, the unions describe this as an attack ad and say educators deserve respect, not...
I totally want to be cast in one of these commercials, and my God, will I ever have some subliminal messaging in there. That'd be funny. That'd be so funny. I dream of the day that some right-wing or conservative would like tap me up to make a video or propaganda or like some sort of poster for them. And I would absolutely hide in a message like, yes, pay me all this money and I'll make you what you think you have. But it turns out it'll be the exact opposite.
Taxpayer-funded smear campaigns. But the government points out that the unions themselves have also been running campaigns. They point to several campaigns like the Small Classes Big Difference campaign launched by the Elementary Teachers Union last August.
Smaller classes would make room for more one-on-one time.
And the Underfunded and Over It campaign that was launched by the Secondary School Teachers Union in February.
I wanted to pause this so I could actually read this mug. So they're outing our funding for their own interests, but there's something we can do about it, I guess. Theirs. I was right about it. There's something we can do about it. I nailed that.
The government describes this one as a coordinated, highly political campaign aimed at mobilizing members ahead of bargaining. Now, the education minister in a statement is defending the government's approach, saying it has a responsibility to address what he calls inconsistent attendance. You can pause and read the statement here. The public messaging efforts on both sides comes as negotiations have essentially come to a complete standstill. 5 major education unions have now suspended talks over a dispute about which issues should be negotiated centrally with the government and which issues belong at the local table between the unions and the school boards. 5 unions, including ETFO and OSSTF, have now referred the dispute to the Ontario Labour Relations Board, and a decision could take months. Collective agreements expire at the end of August. As always, you can find more at thetrillium.ca.
So from the trillium.ca, sick leave sticking point as Ontario teachers head into school year without contract. So here we go. Sometimes I don't get all the Trillium articles anymore because paywall, but this one I got. So the fight over teachers' sick leave is emerging as an early flashpoint in Ontario's stalled bargaining talks with education unions. On Monday night, the president of the Elementary Teachers Federation of Ontario, ETFO, warned hundreds of educators gathered for the union's annual meeting that they will head into the school year without a new collective agreement, and said the union is preparing for a strong strike mandate to strengthen its bargaining power. He also told members they should expect the Ford government to target their sick leave provisions during negotiations. The government is coming after our sick leave, said David Maston, ETFO's president. Trying to prevent people from using sick days has no positive benefit on our schools. While Education Minister Paul Calandra has argued students benefit from having their teachers consistently in the classroom, maybe not while they have plague. I'm just saying, it'd be nice to not have your teacher be sick and spreading it to all the students. In his remarks, Maston said that restricting sick leave would not address the systemic issues contributing to staff absence, such as workload, burnout, violence in schools, and shortage of support for students. On Monday afternoon, the Trillium revealed that the Ford government has prepared a script for taxpayer-funded ad campaign advocating reasonable limits on teacher sick days and requiring doctor notes. And we went over that. So it is unclear whether the ad has gone into production. Masson told ETFO will continue to respond with its own public campaign, saying it is already running ads online, on billboards, transit system, television, radio, and so on and so forth. So here, I'm going to, I don't know if this link will go into the SandBox. It looks really long. And it's 12 characters too long. So go to the Trillium if you would like to finish reading that. Here is some more from Tina Yazdani, who was pushing back on Paul Calandra, the education minister here in Ontario. So she says, teacher unions say the Ford government is refusing to return to the bargaining table to negotiate issues like wages and class sizes that are not before the labor board. Yeah, because you see, Doug Ford is too busy going on CNN and Fox News to talk about something he has no control over than to pay attention to the negotiations with teachers. I asked the education minister why, and, well, he responded. So here we go.
The unions say that they're willing to be at the table to negotiate on the issues that aren't before the labor board, more substantive issues like wages and class sizes, but that your government is unwilling to do so. How come?
Well, look, you can't negotiate. I mean, you wouldn't put a puzzle together with half of the pieces in another box, right? You can't negotiate wages, you can't negotiate classroom sizes if you don't know exactly what you're negotiating centrally and what you're negotiating locally. So we want to get that done as quickly as possible so that we can get to the substantive issues. Wages aren't just a factor of how much we're paying, whether it's an educator or somebody else in the system. Benefits are also a part of that equation, and other pieces are part of that equation. So we want to know what are the things that we were negotiating so that we have all the pieces on the table so that we don't have to wait, so that when we get to the table, we're at the table, but when we get to negotiating those substantive pieces, it's all pieces, and that we can bring the certainty that is required. We can have a deal in place for our students, parents and teachers, and it is the absolute best deal for everybody involved. We have that certainty and a system that can do what it's supposed to do, make sure our students succeed.
So that was a big old, yeah, we're not going to concede to the teachers. So you can expect a teacher strike in Ontario fairly soon into the school year. Again. You know, talking about the children needing consistency in the classroom, teachers not going on strike would be that. And the way you do that is by actually working with them as opposed to working against them. So mentioned the data centers that Doug Ford wants to, shove into the municipalities, even though he says he cares about what the municipalities want when he doesn't. Just, again, the environmental impact this has on just the land, the world. So David here is saying they're clear-cutting a massive forested area on the edge of my town for a quarry that my municipality, Milton and Hilton Hills, all three, rejected, and it was shut down by a tribunal until Ford disbanded the tribunal and made it a tribunal of one who rammed it through. So that's going back to Doug Ford just doing whatever the fuck he wants. So Marit Stiles, leader of the Ontario NDP, and somebody who I will never forgive for not stepping down because she will sink the next election because she's not going to win. We needed an NDP leader on par with Avi Lewis or Zora Mandami. She's not it. Anyway, Hamilton's farmland is being handed over to Doug Ford's developer friends. Hamilton residents were asked. They said no. Council voted to hold the line. None of it mattered because Doug Ford ordered in the expansion in 2022, reversed it with the Greenbelt scandal, got caught up, then passed a law letting developers appeal to tribunals he appoints. Hamilton families will be paying to service the land for the next 30 years on their property taxes. His friends get the land, you get the bill. And more about Hamilton because Hamilton was a hot point for AI data centers. Mike Schreiner, leader of the Ontario Greens, is saying, Hamilton, it's time to take our power back. This proposed data center could raise your bills, drain our water, and lead to ramping up of gas plants. The Ontario Greens are calling for a full moratorium on all new AI data centers until we have better rules to protect our air, our water, and our communities.
There's a project plan for Hamilton's waterfront that could raise your electricity bills and drain our water. Pascal, do you want to tell us more about it?
It's called Steelport, and it's a massive AI data center.
These big data centers use huge amounts of water and electricity, which could mean higher electricity bills for you, threats to our water, and it could also mean ramping up fossil gas plants, increasing climate pollution and local toxic air pollution.
And who actually benefits? We don't know, because most of the time, all of these developments are happening behind closed doors. Over and over again, we see that these rapid AI data centers are being driven by tech billionaires, and who profits? Not us. The Ontario Greens are calling for a full moratorium
on all new AI data centers
until we have better rules to implement to protect our air,
our water,
and our communities. Hamiltonians like me showed up in the thousands to fight these data centers. We need to keep showing up and fight these tech billionaires who are trying to take over our communities. It's time for us to take our power back.
Yeah. No more data centers, no more pipelines. No more resource extraction. We need drastic change in this world if we want to stave off the worst of what's about to come. But one last thing for provincial news, again, while people are being distracted by Doug Ford wanting his ass kissed, WSIB cuts 466 jobs across Ontario in difficult business decision. So that's the Workplace Safety and Insurance Board is cutting 466 jobs across the province in a move the union calls a gut punch. The organization said in a statement Thursday that it has made the difficult business decision to consolidate the roles of some back office staff in claims and accounts management who work remotely. This is putting workers' safety on the line. Like this is making it harder for if you get injured at work to be able to get your insurance claim for, what's that word when they go in and look and make sure everything is okay? There's a word for that. When they go in and do that thing, assess, not assess. When they, you know what I mean, when they go in and say, this passes or this doesn't, oh, fuck. You know what I mean. Anyway, so this puts people's lives in danger by having this cut. Same with like food inspection. That's kind of what I was going for. When they do inspections on properties to see if it's safe for workers. But yeah, this puts people's lives in jeopardy. Same as when they cut food safety inspectors and all that sort of stuff. So we recognize this is difficult news, impacted team members and their families, the WSIB said in a statement. And Doug Ford always brags about so many jobs that he's making for people and says no one will lose jobs under him. None at all. Nope. Except a whole bunch of people. And it's really hard to get a job out there these days. So we will treat everyone fairly and with respect and recognition of the value role they have played on our team. That includes opportunities to relocate, access to resume writing, job seeking services, and contribution of benefits, including unlimited mental health support during this transition. Affected employees are in Sudbury, Windsor, Thunder Bay, and a whole bunch of other places. So the Ontario Compensation Employee Union, an arm of the Canadian Union of Public Employees, says it has also been informed that another 155 jobs will be cut in Waterloo in about a year. I'm dealing with this for a few days now, where we have been trying to negotiate some mitigation with the WSIB, said President Harry Goslin. Yeah, so anyway. Tossing this into the SandBox. I don't think it will go in because that's a really long link. Darn it. It's another link that's too long. So unfortunately, you will have to Google it if you want to finish reading it. Anyway, there we go. Close these. And I will do this. Did I want to close all those? I don't think I wanted to close all of those. I just closed all of them. History. Sorry, I want to open these back up. Don't you autoplay on me. I need to document these things for the, I'm trying to, you know, save all of the articles and videos and stuff of Doug Ford and Mark Carney, all the controversies as I go along so that when the next election comes along, I'm able to just kind of compile them very easily as opposed to having to go back and try to figure out what all of them were type thing. Oh, no, I definitely didn't want that tab open. There we go. So sorry, I just need to reopen these because I went and closed all of them. No, that's not the tab I wanted. Darn it. Stupid freaking history. Recently closed tabs. History. Normally I try to do this beforehand, but yeah. I was very busy trying to get all of this ready on time. Let's see. Anyway, I'll worry about that later. I'm going to check the SandBox. Ugh. Get the next docket ready. Okay, I saw those. There's Hermeteorologist and BCAT. Reference frame, welcome to the SandBox. I don't think they have problem finding actors. They just don't want to pay for them. Yeah, it's that too. I think it's a little bit of both. And apparently I misspoke on something. Such as life as being a live streamer, it's not the most embarrassing thing saying outing instead of cutting. David Dole once said something really embarrassing by accident. He meant to say election. He ended up saying erection. It was pointed out to him in the comment section. Hello, Bad Lefty. Welcome to the SandBox. An inspection was the word I was looking for, Bad Lefty. Oh, okay. So I have my next docket. It's not terribly long, and it's just a bunch of like kind of, there's a couple tabs that are related to each other, but most of it is just stuff that I might not even go over all of it. But there is one that I definitely wanted to go over to be like, yeah, I'm right. I'm right on this issue. Let's see. I am totally right on this issue. Let's see if it's at the right point. I have a hate for it on my channel, and this is validating. Sorry, I had it saved where I wanted it to start, and I think it's in a different place right now. There we go. There we go. I found it. I found the spot. So I gotta remember
After
to
the
turn
moon
the audio
landing.
back on, pause that. Let's go back 5 seconds. There we go. This is from the Majority Report. It's not my phone call. But this is something else that I'm like, yeah, see, I was right. I was right all along on this issue. Because too many people put way too much value into polls.
Grandma, historical preservation is so important. I remember right after the moon landing, the feelings of collective humanity and how we all felt the importance of protecting that feeling. That's why right after it happened, I took the TV.
All right, let's one here. This is pretty nuts. Sam and I were talking about this before the show. This pollster or fake pollster is now claiming that their poll, which they released, was just kind of like just a prank, bro. Really just like a social experiment is what they're claiming.
Yeah, it wasn't real. Wasn't there was this other woman who had a poll saying like Hillary would win or something, and it was like way off, and then she was criticized and all this sort of stuff. All this is tarot cards. This polling. I think polling in election seasons should be banned. Basically, treat every riding like they're all up for grabs and that everyone can win if you put in enough work. But putting so much weight in polls, and then people will listen to the polls, and then they have such a big influence on people, and they shouldn't, but they do. And there's all this obsession with what do the polls say? Just go out and fucking talk to people. Go out, get the temperature, figure it out for yourself. You don't need these polls because they're not going to account for everything. Some of them, like this one, will just be right out fake, but people are basing decisions based on what this fake poll said. Polls are bad. They're bad.
They had a poll that showed Francesca Hong with a 23-point lead over David Crowley in the Wisconsin primary, or they claimed it was a poll. And it's this group called Median Strategies, and they've now released this press release. Median Strategies has concluded its polling project and will not publish additional polls. All previously published polling releases have been withdrawn and should not be cited or treated as genuine polling data. Median Strategies was created as a short-term social experiment, examining how purported polling information could enter and spread through the political information ecosystem without independent verification. Thank you for your understanding.
It's kind of like a rumor was once started in my junior high, where somebody just went to a few people and said, I heard there's going to be a surprise assembly. And it got to the point where all the teachers were having to check in with the office to be like, is there an assembly coming up that we don't know about? That's all this is. They made a poll about rumors, basically. They started some rumors on some stuff that had no grounding in actual fact. No. Polls, I don't trust them. People don't understand. It's like, oh yeah, well the sampling size was like 700 people who actually opted into it, and you can't force people to take polls because then they're just going to lie. Like they're so unreliable in this day and age with our technology and everything. And so often they're just proven to be wrong, and they give people false hope, and sometimes people don't go out and vote because they don't think they need to, and all of this sort of stuff. Just no more polls. No more polls.
I'm not sure I have this understanding that you speak of, because this isn't just for this race. In the Nithya Raman Karen Bass race in LA, Karen Bass was reportedly publishing and advertising the results of one of these fake polls on her social media, showing her ahead of Raman and showing, her getting, I think, a disproportionate number of Spencer Pratt voters. We don't know what this group is, Median Strategies. We don't know where they come from. We don't know what their motivation is, but Sam had a pretty good theory about it. Before.
I think, interesting experiment, if it's the case, if some academic outfit did it. But also, that's what I would say if I didn't want people to know that I was trying to change the betting markets. And
And there we have it, folks. The bigger incentive now to fuck around with polls. The poly market or other betting markets online. How releasing these fake polls can actually influence the results. And people can make money off of it. And so now you're going to have a lot more fake polls out there as people try to make a buck. Don't trust polls. Don't trust them. Like there are literally polls or bets on polls. It's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous.
trying to make some money on Kalshi.
Yeah, where's the findings of this experiment going to be published? I wonder, or is this
we're
the
not
last we see
going
of it?
to. We're going to set up a new institute with all the money I made on Kalshi and
that could be it, and it could also be that maybe in the short term, but in the future, said social experiment could be like, hey, we'll show the lefty candidate really up in Wisconsin and flood the zone with that. We'll show the more centrist candidate in the LA race up, and we'll see how much this impacts the results. And if we can sway elections based on polling and based on perception going forward.
But that's the thing. Polls should not have any influence over elections, over the way people vote. They shouldn't have that influence in the first place. So as far as I'm concerned, they should all be banned during election season. If you want to do a cutesy poll afterwards about like approval ratings or whatever bullshit, whatever. But during an election season, ban them.
With these two test cases. And it is like just deeply horrifying that we have this amount of money, this amount of gamblification of our elections, and that there's like no oversight that this is even allowed. And really, I mean, Karen Bass's campaign has been extremely embarrassing. The whole pothole attempted.
Anyway, that's all I needed on that. Just to say, I'm right about polls. They all suck and don't believe them, and they should be banned. Let's see. So next, let's get into some, let's see, gotta change this to this. Some transgender news. So this is the type of people I want in my community. This woman who decided to stand up at the city council meeting and speak out against one of the trustees wearing an anti-trans shirt during this meeting. So this lady here in the green shirt, she's the type of people I want in communities. So Susie had tweeted this out. This teacher was at a Nevada school board meeting and noticed that one of the CCSD school board trustees was wearing an anti-trans shirt while conducting the meeting. So she wrote a speech and got up and let Lorena Bizzole, who's with Moms of Liberty, know how she felt, and it was amazing. Yes, this is a good teacher. This is a shitty person.
I stand before you tonight to address an issue that goes far beyond a dress code or a political statement. When a school board trustee chooses to wear an anti-trans shirt to an official board meeting, it is not merely a personal expression, it is fundamental failure of public service. As elected trustees, your primary mandate is to serve all students in this district. You are tasked with creating an environment where every child, regardless of their background, identity, or orientation, feels safe, valued, and ready to learn. When a trustee sits on the dais wearing apparel that explicitly targets and marginalizes trans youth, a dangerous message is sent. You do not belong here. Your safety is not our priority. Transgender and non-binary youth already face staggering rates of anxiety, depression, and bullying. They look to school leadership for protection, stability, and basic dignity. For a leader to bring targeted hostility into the very room where decisions about their education and well-being are made is both irresponsible and cruel. We must be clear about the distinction between personal political opinions and official public duties. Freedom of speech gives you the right to hold personal beliefs. Public office requires you to uphold a duty of care to the community you represent. You cannot effectively advocate for the well-being of all children while publicly displaying contempt for some of them. It compromises the neutrality of this board, signals a hostile environment to our students, and undermines the trust of this community that has been placed in this office. We are not asking our trustees to agree on every issue, but we are demanding a baseline of professional decorum, respect, and fundamental compassion for the children of this district. I call on this board to reaffirm its commitment to protecting all students, to condemn hostility toward trans humans, and to hold its members to the highest standards of respect and responsibility. Our students and our parents are watching, and they deserve so much better than this. Thank you.
Great speech, especially just kind of written up in the moment. And then the transphobic turfy person there just like, you are wasting my time at this meeting. Just let me be a bigot in peace. No, this woman here, this teacher, is standing up for all of her students. Something that the people on the school board should be doing. But there's some more on this sort of thing right here. Rachel Gilmore was covering this. It's too big. There we go. Why is this a different size? And make them a very specific size so that they fit in this screen properly. And then they don't. There. Let me try to figure this out. What if I refresh it? No, don't autoplay. Stop autoplaying. Closer. I think it's a vertical, so I'll just do this one instead. I don't like that one either. Nope. I guess we will just go with this one. Okay. Nope, don't skip. Tech issues. There we go. Let's make that full screen. How about that? We'll do it this way. Oh, well then I can just do it this way. There we go. We'll do it this way. Sorry about that. Anyway, so there's the WNBA, Women's National Basketball League, and there's been some issues around it, and a lot of turfy turfs have been showing up at it saying, you know, it's just a bunch of nonsense. It's a non-issue. It really is a non-issue. But if private organizations don't capitulate 100% to turfs, then they go on a rampage against that organization to try to sink them because they're not doing exactly what those turfs want. And so Rachel Gilmore here, a wonderful independent journalist, was covering this story.
Last night, and Sophie Cunningham was booed during a WNBA game in Toronto last night, and I think that's a good thing. Let me tell you why. For those of you who aren't aware, Cunningham has become the latest face of the transphobic culture war that's trying to strip away rights from people who are just trying to live their lives. This whole issue really kicked off with an ESPN profile. See, Cunningham, whose star really exploded after she was ejected from a game for violently yanking another player by her neck, but protecting women and girls in sports is her priority. Opined on corners of the internet that had dubbed her MAGA Barbie, which is an insult to Barbie because I'm pretty sure Barbie doesn't have that much lip filler. Cunningham was quoted saying in the article, quote, "I got a lot of negative feedback about me hating trans." And I'm like, I never once said that. I think that I'm here to extend love. But I also think with that love is truth, being honest. And I want to protect young girls in a locker room or young girls in sport who shouldn't have
As they say, there's no hate like Christian love.
to go against biological men because of her refusal to drop the transphobic rhetoric.
And then that's the same shirt there that the woman in that school board was wearing. This XXXY shirt.
Sophie Cunningham is putting WNBA fans at risk. Anti-trans protesters have started demonstrating outside of games, exposing LGBTQ+ fans to a higher risk of harassment. The most famous swimmer ever to tie for 5th place, the transphobic activist Riley Gaines, sat courtside in an anti-trans shirt. And Cunningham posed with her for a selfie at the game. So yeah, Cunningham can shove it with her claims that she's there to extend love. Now, I also feel as though I am uniquely qualified to drag her ass. See, I'm also a 6-foot-tall woman who also once was a mediocre basketball player. So first, let me say this. It's obvious what she's doing. Before she got ejected from the game for violently fouling an opponent, she had 300,000 TikTok followers. 1 week later, according to ESPN, she had 1.4 million. And today, she has 3.8 million. Her agency representative also told ESPN she's making way more money from her.
Yeah, basically, let's be the face of a culture war issue so that I can get millions of followers and subscribers and attention, all the attention. We see other people doing things like that, and a conspiracy, you know, trying to raise their profile through hatred. You know, that's really all it is they just want that online celebrity status. And so they find a cause and they become the face of it. That's all it is.
Endorsements since the headlock incident. So clearly all of this stuff has been working out for her. As for her goals to protect young girls, however, that's a different story. I am far from the first person to say this, but the idea that blocking trans participation in sports is about equality and fairness is a steaming pile of bullshit. Late night host John Oliver actually did a fantastic segment on that, which I recommend that you go and watch. But to summarize, cis men don't actually have an across-the-board advantage over cis women in sports. There have also been very, very few studies on the difference between trans women and cis women in sports, and the few that have been done have tiny sample sizes. But
and I've been over that before, but let's see. I'll toss the rest of this into the SandBox, or do I want to finish watching it with you all? I don't want to be stealing her content, so here we go. You can finish watching it on her channel. Go to this. This is, so that's about the right size. Maybe. There we go. See, that one's the right size. And so this is new in Winnipeg. There's a national monument dedicated to the victims of LGBTQ2S plus discrimination. You know, it's definitely better than that victims of what is it? The victims of communism they have up in Ottawa, where it turns out a lot of those victims are Nazis. You know, we need more recognition like this.
A number of dignitaries attended, including...
But Justin Trudeau can go to The Hague.
Former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and current Governor General Louise Arbour for the official unveiling of the massive 11-meter Thunderhead Monument. Designed in Winnipeg by an all-Canadian team including Elder Albert McLeod, it takes its inspiration from a dynamic cloud representing energy and renewal. Algonquin Elder Claudette Commanda opened the unveiling ceremony, saying the monument has been a long time coming.
And it is to give honor Honor to our brothers and sisters who work so diligently to bring forth justice so they would be recognized, they would be validated, they would be respected. And that is why we are here today to celebrate the launch of this monument.
The crowd learned that the 2SL BGTQI+ community has been historically discriminated against, seeing careers terminated or limited in the military, civil service, and RCMP because of sexual orientation and gender identity. Todd Ross is a Two-Spirit Métis veteran who lost his job in the Navy because of his sexual orientation. He was part of a class action settlement against the Federal Civil Service for discrimination, in which proceeds were used to fund the Thunderhead Monument.
Thunderhead, the world's only...
That is really sweet of him to use some of that settlement to make this monument. Like, good on him for that.
National monument to wider discrimination faced by 2S LGBTQIA+ people. A living space for future generations to ensure this history never repeats itself. A national space for reflection, education, and hope. And a site for protest, celebration, and gathering.
Ivan Coyote is an Indigenous writer who explores 2SL BGTQI+ themes. They say the monument is also meant to honor allies in the community who experienced discrimination but are no longer with us.
To remember, we are standing here looking at the queerest monument in the world because we need to remember. We need to never forget that this monument is meant to honor people who did not live long enough for us to make things right.
Fraser Needham, Captain National.
So, just some good news. It's nice that this monument was made. You know, if I'm ever in the area, I will go see it. Okay, let's see. What else was there? Is that... Okay, so I have like 4 tabs that are really nothing related to anything. So let me know if you want to see a video. It's a TikTok video, just under 4 minutes long, of a woman talking about how she was changed, like she had a radical change of mind frame when she no longer believed that women had to be standing by certain beauty standards, and it's just okay, you know, to live your life if you're not pretty, if you're considered ugly. Like, that shouldn't be a slander or anything. Like, sometimes it just is. There's also, so put a 1 if you actually want to see that video. I thought it was very interesting. Put a 2 if you're like, we can skip it. And then since the rest of them are just single tweets, I'll go through that while I'm waiting for results. How about that? So we will go through them. So I just thought this was very poignant, this phrase here. We somehow created a world where you can be surrounded by everything you need and still not be allowed to have any of it. Food can rot behind a grocery store while someone nearby is hungry. Apartments can sit empty while people sleep outside. Medicine can exist on a shelf while someone can't afford it. Nothing is actually missing. We just invented an invisible layer between people and things, then started behaving like the invisible layer is a law of physics. And that, my friends, is capitalism. That's what capitalism did. We have everything we need right now to solve all the issues in the world. World hunger, poverty, housing, the climate. We have the solutions right now to do all of it. But it's capitalism that is preventing it from happening. And all the leaders that, you know, are sucking capitalism's balls, because they are all complicit in it, because they're part of the 1%. And yeah. I think this is a shitty, horrible world that we're living in because of it. This is so far from the Star Trek utopia I thought we were heading towards. More of the results of capitalism is this. Somebody just saying a single second of the sun's energy could power the earth for 500,000 years, and somebody pointing out it could be powering us now, but 12 rich guys say no. Again, we have all of the solutions, all of them right now. It's just those 12 rich guys don't want it. And then they convince other rich people that they also don't want it. And so it's the people with the least who suffer the most when it comes to these sorts of things. But yeah, all the solutions are right there. Okay, so then I have one fun, totally unrelated thing that I love optical illusions. That's all it is. So let me set this up proper. I just love optical illusions. And so, yeah, that's all this is. Let's see if this can get screen size. It could get bigger on my phone. Come on. It went full screen on my phone. It's not doing it on here. Oh well. But yeah, I love optical illusions. So here we go. Would you believe me if I said those stars aren't actually moving? They're not. They look like it, but they're not. I love optical illusions. And the way that it feels like a very innocent way of fucking with your mind. Because here, if I can put the mouse, if I put the mouse cursor right there, you can't even see it because I need to click here, I think. There we go. There we go, right there. And you notice, see, I'm not moving the mouse. I'm not moving the mouse with it. The stars aren't actually moving. Oh, I'll put this to a different point right there. There, see? There are my hands, so you see I'm not moving the mouse with it. Those stars are not moving. But your mind thinks they are. I love optical illusions. It's a fun way to mess with your mind. I like trying to draw like optical illusions and stuff too, and adding them into my art. So let's go let's go to this side here. Let's go to this one. And you see, I actually had the urge to move the cursor where I thought the image was moving, but no. And as you can see, it's not actually moving. Anyway, I love optical illusions. Okay, so I only had one questionable yes for the video that I was talking about. When it's just accepting that, you know, the idea that beauty standards have to be a certain way and stuff. Well, let's put it this way, Corvid Black, since you're the only one that answered. You choose if you want to see it or not. Because you put a question mark. So if you think this is something that you would want to see, because we have time. Well, it is over 2 hours and I was hoping to be done by now, but you know, I'm used to doing like 5-hour-long live streams and we are wrapping things up. So Corvid Black, let me know if no, it's not Corvid. Yeah, it is Corvid Black. Let me know if you would like to see it. Did I not call them optical illusions, Grand Theft Autobot? That's what I thought I called them. So I'm just going to check the SandBox, see what people are saying. Okay, saw that. I do know Tabernacle. Reference frame. Bad Lefty. Wow, Sandy really hates Polish people. Bad Lefty is thinking what happened was fraud, but as Emma was pointing out, I don't think it is actually illegal in the States to do that sort of thing, because sometimes the polls are just wrong too, like that woman who got it completely wrong and her career was ruined. It's not a crime to make a shitty poll, I don't think. But it has such an effect on things, especially now that they can use it towards all these online betting forums. Bad lefty, speaking of people who suck and do crimes, Rob Ford. Also Doug Ford. Also saying her already glad-based teachers like her are teaching our kids. Yes. Grand Theft Autobot being very nitpicky this stream. It's like, I don't think that's a shirt. It's like a sweater or a cardigan. You want? It's a sweaters and cardigans are subcategories of shirts. Shirts are on the top of the body. And then there's subcategories. Just like I said, there was a human standing there. But you could say, well, that was a little old lady, a teacher. Still a human. People liking her speech. Did I say turkey turfs? Grand Theft Autobot thing is woke. Oh, thing made a lot of money. Thing is not woke. Reference frame persecuting trans people to cloud chase. Yeah. See that? Sorry, Anna Kasparian is really on my mind right now because of all the fucking TYT stuff that I've been doing. You have no idea the amount of psychic damage or trauma I've been going through with that fucking TYT essay. Oh, it is draining. It is draining. Seeing what they once upon a time used to be to what they are now, it's... I hope this essay of mine, these essays of mine, actually do numbers, because more people need to see what Jank and Anna are up to. It is just... I want other people to suffer with me on that one. People thinking the optical illusion was cool. Oh, I did call it an optical illusion, Grand Theft Autobot says. I call them optical illusions because I'm weird that way. Yeah. Okay. It's one of those days that I don't know if I'm saying anything straight these days. Hello, the Wild West. Welcome to the SandBox. Okay, so we do have a couple people propping up ones. I don't think there's anyone saying no to the video. I just thought it was an interesting video. The Wild West confession, I watched some TYT today. Oh, because they were talking about Doug Ford and Mark Carney. You might have to go back and see what they're saying about that. It's like, whose side are they going to take in that? And how wrong are they going to be? Anyway, sure. Why don't we watch this video here? It's just it's a good way, or a different way of thinking about, you know, beauty standards and what is put on women and how we should be expected to think and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, anyway. Sometimes it's nice to think outside the box. So Lily here just tweeted this out. This video alone radicalized me, and I really want other women to watch it and digest it, because holy shit, this made me question everything.
Maybe you're not pretty. So what? I'm a horrible woman and I make content for other horrible women, and my objective is not to convince you that you are in fact pretty, or to reassure you that you're attractive, or to try and expand the definition of beauty to include you. My end game is to hopefully get you to care less about whether you're attractive or not, and to hopefully make you angry about how much mental space and emotional energy you've been conditioned to put into the topic.
Yeah. I think that's it there too. There's a lot of men out there that, you know, they don't care if they're not attractive. They're not putting on the makeup. They're not trying to make themselves look good. They just exist. They have the freedom to exist. Women don't. Unless you fit this category of being pretty, you're not allowed to just simply exist, which is a crime. Like, not everyone is going to be that. And so all this mental energy that we put onto it, yeah. Like, I wish I could just, you know, get rid of all this social conditioning, but unfortunately I can't. It'd be nice, and I hope more people do. And she actually is speaking at a fairly decent speed, so I don't need to speed this up. Come on. There we go. I said play. Ah, the internet has been really buggy lately. I'm clicking on it.
I don't know if you guys understand how serious I am about being a horrible, mean woman, but I really am, because when women talk to me about feeling like they're ugly, I have the same impulse to assure them that they're not, but my preferred response is, maybe you are ugly, so what? And even for a self-described horrible woman, I know this seems really harsh, but the truth is that I don't think the solution to us as women being overly preoccupied with whether or not we're attractive is to constantly be reassuring ourselves and each other that we are attractive. It's to stop caring about whether or not we're attractive. And I know this is a lot easier said than done, but like a lot of things, it gets easier if you get mad about it. We're not born with an innate predisposition to being overly concerned with superficial things or obsessing over the minute details of our appearance. Most men, when they have a breakout, are not reaching for the concealer to cover it up, and that's mostly not because they've gone on a self-help journey where they've learned how to love their acne, and if they even thought about it, they probably don't like it very much, but they don't feel the need to do anything about it because it's not taking up a bunch of space in their heads. And the reason that it's not is not because men are more high-minded than women, it's because they haven't been conditioned into the idea that this is of supreme importance to them. They're allowed to just be in whatever state they're in. And that's what I want for women. I want us to be free to be, and to be not so burdened by concerns about our appearance. And I think a solution that involves learning to love the way you look or learning to see yourself as beautiful is kind of unachievable for a lot of people, and then when we struggle with it, it just deepens the feelings of inadequacy that we have, and also it kind of gives credibility to the idea that beauty is important. And I think that it would be more helpful to us to think about whether or not we're beautiful less. Being preoccupied with our looks because we think they're not good enough, to being preoccupied with our looks.
I'm trying to pause it. There we go. Yeah. It would be nice, but it's hard to get into that line of thinking when it is still a reality that women or female presenting people who are doing content like this do better if they're pretty. Like, it would just be nice if you could think that and there weren't social consequences for not fitting a certain standard. But that's just the reality of the world we live in, and it's totally not fair, and I hate it. I hate it. Because especially women are never pretty forever because we age. And even as somebody who gets to be like 70, they still try to obtain these beauty standards where people are still like, well, you're still very pretty for your age. Why do we have to constantly for our entire lives obsess over this? Why can't we just be?
Because we're trying to reinterpret them as good enough is still just being preoccupied with our looks. I think what might be more productive and achievable is recognizing that you are living in a rigged system that has had to condition you into seeing how you look as a matter of supreme importance, so that you will put mental space, emotional energy, and material resources into the matter.
Yeah, people who are pretty are considered, oh fuck, what's the word? Like, they're more trustworthy, they're more valid as people when they give commentary, that somehow they're worth more in society. If a woman is pretty, she's worth more in this fucked up capitalist society that we live in. And it should be about, what do you do? What do you contribute? What do you give out to the world? You know, who are you as a person? Those should be the primary focuses, not your appearance, because most people have zero control over their appearance. We can gussy it up with makeup and all this sort of stuff, but, you know, like, I can't control what my eyes are, you know, chest, all that sort of stuff. Like, you can maybe get plastic surgery, but these are things that you were just born with, and yet you're praised, and people will constantly like be like, oh my God, your skin is so great and stuff of that sort. Things that you have no control over, they're praising you for. Why? You know, you can praise me on maybe how I do my makeup or the clothes I pick or how I do my hair, but to praise me on something I have zero ability over? Why? That was just luck, whatever it was.
And get pissed off about it, because getting to a place of self-love might be really difficult, but getting angry at a system set up to screw you over and refusing to think the way it wants you to think can be really motivating, or at least I found it to be. You don't have to love yourself in order to stubbornly refuse to hate yourself. And I know, again, all of this is so much easier said than done, but it's definitely helped me, because I spent most of my adolescence and young adult life refusing to wear shorts because I thought there was something wrong with the way my legs looked. And I live in a really hot part of the world as well.
I used to wear long sleeves because my arms were considered hairy. And the truth was, they weren't necessarily hairy, but I have very dark hair on very pale skin. So it was noticeable. So in high school in particular, I was always wearing long sleeves to try to hide that. Because I didn't want to get into shaving them all the time and whatnot.
So I was unnecessarily uncomfortable and hindered for a lot of my life over a really superficial thing. And the thing that ultimately helped me get free of this was not deciding that actually my legs were beautiful or expanding the definition of beauty to include them. It was confronting the possibility that I might have really unsightly, unattractive legs that don't fit the beauty standard, but so what? Even if there is something wrong with my legs, I still have as much right as anybody else to move around the world dressed for comfort and to be free of the burden of obsessing over them. The path to freedom for me was not learning to think more positively or more kindly about my legs. It was getting really annoyed at how much I was burdened by thinking about my legs and deciding on principle to try not to think about my legs. And now I'm in my 30s and it's just normal for me to not think about my legs, and I live in shorts.
So, I don't know. I just thought that was an interesting video. Okay, so I can close these tabs. Close, close, close. Close, close. Okay. Let's just do this. Sorry, I need to... Anyway, so that's that. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Corvid Black. I thought it was an interesting video. Okay, so that is it. That is all that I needed to get caught up with. So I'm just going to check the SandBox. The Wild West, I saw Canada and clicked on TYT. Yeah. Yeah, no, I might have to rewatch it. They also had a video clip of it yesterday, but I haven't bothered watching that. I just, sometimes I've consumed too much Chankanana content for a day. And I've been sitting here all day working on the TYT essay, and I'm telling you, I hope that these go viral. The thing is like, when I first started this project, it's not like I wanted TYT to sink or for anything bad to happen. You know, maybe just for Jank and Anna to change their ways, or, you know, maybe even step down as the main hosts of the shows to bring it back to its progressive roots and all that sort of stuff. But the longer I've been at this and the more I've seen, I'm now like, actually, I do kind of hope these essays fucking sink them. Because the absolute danger they are becoming to so many different people. They actually had on Candace Owens. She was on the main. It's just her and Anna were getting all girly with each other. Like, it's just, are you kidding me? Francesca, not allowed on. Candace Owens, sure thing. And then some of the old videos that I'm coming across and stuff, and contrasting them to today, and the amount of fucking gaslighting that has happened from like Jank saying, oh, we've always been consistent and all that sort of bullshit. Like, it's just, no. These essays will completely lay bare everything they were to everything they've become, but also expose that something they've always been, you know? Bad Lefty, not gonna lie, do miss John and JR videos. There are a couple, like, that's part of the reason why I didn't want TYT to sink, is because there are still good people attached to that network, but at this point, if you're still attached to that network, I've got judgment on you. At what point do you morally have to say you can't engage with it anymore? You have fucking Candace Owens on, the main, and you're still making content for them? You're still supporting them? You're still propping them up? You're still being a part of that network so people can say, well, at least they still have some good progressives. No, they're validating, they're propping up TYT, and they shouldn't. Lefty, we should all have the freedom not to be bothered, to not care, to not be judged, but that's easy for my cishet white male ass to say. Yeah. I'd like to not be bothered about that, but yeah, it is what it is. Where was I? It jumped. Okay, I think I saw that. Oh, right. There we were. So Grand Theft Autobot, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. They say my grandpa Theft Autobot, R.I.P., once told me if we all liked the same thing, everyone be after your grandma. That's very sweet. The Wild West, yes. Pretty people are considered smarter too, more competent, all that sort of stuff. Corvette Black, like the video. Okay. By Lefty, one day of TYT is too many days, yeah. I'm feeling it. I'll be so fucking glad when this is done. When this project, this mammoth project of mine is done. Yeah, Grand Theft Autobot, basically your grandpa was saying, or Bad Lefty, that saying that the grandma was a hot commodity. Like, it's very sweet to be like, oh yeah, men found her very attractive and we're all over her. Or at least he did. Basically, your grandpa was horny. I don't know if I want that vision in my head of any of my family members. Grand Theft Autobot, it was sweet and a tad sassy. He still loved Grandma no matter how old she got or what she looked like. Yeah. Yeah, your grandpa was a horny one. uh, So, yeah, I guess that is that. So, as I'm pretty sure most of you know, hello, Rusty. I have got a new part-time job. Yay! Something I was in dire need of to get my finances under control and stuff. And it is a job I want as opposed to a job that I could just get. So I'm very happy with it. It starts next week. And it's going to have zero effect on this channel. Still be doing my regular Sunday live streams, working away on the TYT essays. Probably won't get to them as fast, but you know, that's why I'm hoping to get the initial draft done this week. And I am very close to getting it done. So it is a doable goal, let's put it that way, to get the initial draft done this week. And yeah, but it will affect my This Space appearances. So I will be on This Space tomorrow on my regular time, 4 p.m. Eastern. I don't know when my next regular slot will be, so we'll have to see. We will have to see. There is like 1 hour during the week that I think I could consistently commit to, because I don't know if my shift at work is going to be switching around or not. So it's hard for me to commit to an hour any day of the week before 6 p.m. because, you know, by the time I'm done work and get here, it'd be 6 p.m. But most of my weeknights, at least once a month, I'm off to a club meeting for something, or seeing friends or something every day of the week. So that's part of the reason why I don't want to commit to a time slot in the evenings, is that at least once a month I'd have to not do that time slot. So, but I think there's one time slot where if I'm working that day to the end and I still had the commitment in the evening, I could just wedge it in between. But yeah, I'll be sorting that out with Nicholas, the producer, to figure that out. Thank you, Bad Lefty, for the good luck with the new job. I am super nervous about it. I'm not gonna lie. It's been a while since I've had like a normal job. But I am entirely capable of doing everything involved with it. So hopefully, yeah. Grand Theft Autobot. Oh God, news. My tax return finally went through. I got a refund. So those are going to kick up again. I got to contact disability tax credit people to get that started up again. I hope that's good. I didn't quite understand that. Hello, Morbius. Okay, so yeah, once the initial draft of the TYT essay is done, then I can work on the new edition of my book. I can't say what job I got, Rusty. I need to keep some things private. All I can say is that it doesn't conflict with my moral values. So, but yeah. Let's just say if it were to get out in the public, I wouldn't be ashamed of it. But I will be kind of keeping that quiet, because if things online blow up, I don't want people calling and harassing my workplace. Hello, I get carried away. Thank you. I hope I do. So the Grand Theft Auto bot, I wasn't getting my monthly refunds from CRA. Yeah, so I don't think there's really anything. Yeah, I know you're there, Looney Tunes. Let's see if there's anyone live right now that I would want to send you off to. I think TYT is just finishing up, so we can't go raid there. I will be so glad when I no longer have to think of TYT. Like, you have no idea how much I just not want to think about that. It looks like Lucy is live, so we can go to Lucy Hayes. I'm not working for a data center, Rusty, but I think everyone would know that. But yeah, it's one of those things, if it ever got out, I'd have nobody be like, oh, you work where? That totally contradicts everything. Nah. Bad Lefty, definitely a bank robber. Are there like professional bank robber positions open? Because that might actually be interesting. But yeah, look, yeah. I see the home stretch with the TYT essay. And I just want to get there. The amount of psychic damage that it has done, especially when I binge work on it. I came across a video that I need to edit in. And it's not a bad video. And that's the problem. It's actually a really, really good video of Jank and Anna defending trans athletes. Just like 5 years ago. But he'll try to claim they haven't changed. And I'm talking about athletes, not just high school league. Athletes. And just seeing that and seeing how much damage they've done to the trans community. All for money and clicks and clout. They used to be something, you know? They used to be something. And the reality that they built that network, that studio, on the faith and the resources and the money of progressives, and they're now turning around and platforming people who literally want to see us dead. It is such a betrayal. Such a betrayal. Reference frame, human header for her vampire overlords. Minuet seems like a good boss, to be honest. I would so love that the vampires took over. But yeah, anyway. Can't wait to get back to it. I still need to think of what Gavin's full name is, though. Gavin is one of the vampires. And before I do the new edition, I need to figure out what his full name is. So that's something I will work on. But I think I am pooped out. I'm hungry, so I'm going to go eat those leftovers and then maybe even see about going for a walk because it's early enough. I think with all of that, oh right, I got to do that whole thing. I got to do that thing. I got to do that thing. This thing. But you all know this thing. You all know this thing. To like and subscribe, and I'm looking forward to getting back to working on my art channel. Something that will come out right as the new edition of my book comes out will be a YouTube video on my art channel where it basically, this is how you pronounce all their names. So there'll be a message at the beginning of the book. So I'm going to be putting in like a little memorial to Frodo, like a dedicated to Frodo at the beginning. And then under it, I'm also going to put, to learn how to pronounce all the characters' name, go to this YouTube video. So that you have it right off the bat when you're reading that. So you don't have to think it's one thing and then find out it's another, because it's impossible for me to spell out these names in English. So, yeah. Thank you, everyone, for coming out on this odd night. For me, anyway. Thank you, everyone who's helped out financially. I super appreciate it. I wouldn't be here without you, quite literally. This is about us, not just me. And I hope that this is, a community that everyone feels a part of, and can be glad to feel a part of. But everyone who's, a patron, a member who's bought things from the Amazon wish list, I couldn't have this studio without you. The art supplies, all of that. All of that. Anyway, and thank you to the mods and everyone who took time out of their day to watch this. Oh, okay. I think with all of that, say hi to Lucy for me. I won't be tuning in because I need to tune out like completely. So say hi to Lucy and stick around on her channel for a bit. Show her some wonderful support. And with all of that, salut, à la prochaine. Thank you for watching and stay tuned. I'm Sandy, wishing your tomorrow is better than your today.